Okay, so we're going to be doing some games with this mono white sort of mid-rangey deck. So this deck is something that I came up with. I wanted to build around Hoofprints of the Stag, and then I decided I wanted to build around Weathered Wayfarer as well since they can fit in the same deck. So let's take a look what we have here. So first we have uh, some Weathered Wayfarers. So this guy lets you keep getting lands out of your deck. So as long as your opponent is ahead of you on lands, you won't miss a land drop until they kill it. And it can also find non-basic lands. So we've got a couple non-basic lands that we can search for with it. We've got a full set of Ghost Quarters. So you can go get Ghost Quarters. You can play Ghost Quarter against Tron, against Amulet, just kind of disrupt them a little bit. We've got an Emiria the Sky Ruin, so that we can get our guys back if the game goes long. I was running 2 Debtor's Knell in the deck, but I think the Emiria plus the Weathered Wayfarers gives you pretty much the same capability with less slots. Because instead of running 2 Debtor's Knell, you can just run 1 Emiria. I've got a Selesnya Sanctuary, so this lets us make a land drop, but still not go up on lands for the Weathered Wayfarer. This was a suggestion from somebody. That's a good idea. And then I've got a Mistveil Plains, so that you can put Ghost Quarters back in your deck if you run through all of them. And you can also, with your shuffle effects, you can put stuff back in your deck and have a chance to draw it later. And because you can get this with a fetch land, it's not really much of a cost to put one in the deck. And I've got 3 Windswept Heaths just to fetch plains and fetch the Mistveil Plains. And one thing you can do is sack the Windswept Heath and maintain priority, and then activate your Weathered Wayfarer while the ability is on the stack, since you have 1 less land than before. And then you can get your land, and then you can put your land into play with Windswept Heath. And so let's look at Hoofprints of the Stag. So this card is, and by itself, it's basically a 4/4 suspend flyer. It's basically an errant ephemeron with a little bit of mana cost at the other end. But if you can get a Mind's Eye into play, then suddenly you can very realistically make multiple stags out of the Hoofprints. And so I tried Mastery of the Unseen and I tried Mobilization in this kind of deck. And I actually like the Hoofprints better because 4/4 is a really good set of power and toughness in Modern right now. It's not the biggest thing around because there's Tassigurs and Gurmag Anglers, but it is bigger than Delver of Secrets, and it is too big to die to Lightning Bolt. So then we also have 3 Elspeths, which are kind of like Hoofprints, which the game goes long, you can make a lot of tokens. They also are good at defending themselves. Just Elspeth is a pretty good card. For removal, we have 4 Path to Exiles and 3 Celestial Flares. I'm running the Celestial Flares because the last video I made, we ran into a lot of Boggles decks, so I want to be prepared for those if that's what the metagame is like again. And Celestial Flare is also pretty reasonable against just most fast creature decks. You're trading 2 mana for a creature, which is about standard, and they don't get a land or anything out of it. So then we also have Force Sarah Avengers, which are just a guy that can come down on turn 4 and let you keep up a removal spell or an activation of Mistveil Plains or Ghost Quarter. So I put this in here just to see if it was good, and it's actually surprised me. It's been very good. Sometimes you can play 2 of them on turn 4 if you don't have a Ghost Quarter, which is pretty impressive a lot of the time. So I really like this guy. And then we have a lot of life gain creatures. We have 4 Kitchen Finks for our 3-drop slot. And then at the top of our curve, we have 3 Baneslayer Angel and 3 Wormcoil Engine. The deck is a white deck, so there's a lot of life gain options, but I just like having it stuck on creatures a little bit more than having it on spells, because not only do they gain life, but they also provide blockers, and a lot of the decks in Modern do a lot of damage to themselves while they're trying to damage you. So like it's not unreasonable for a burn deck to deal 9 damage to themselves with their lands in the first 3 turns. So if you have a Kitchen Finks, then suddenly you're able to apply some pressure, and then maybe they have to block because you have an Elspeth out so they can't profitably attack, or you're attacking with Sarah Avenger with Vigilance, and so you can block their Goblin Guide and then get in there anyway. And then the big lifelink guys, I just really like to have because they're a high impact threat to get back with the Emeria late in the game. And they also repeatedly gain life. So a lot of the time against like the Naya burn decks, the Atarka red decks, you can gain like 5 or 6 life, but that's just going to buy you a turn or two. You're still in a lot of danger, but if you can stick a Baneslayer Angel and then hit for 5, hit for another 5, suddenly you've gained 10 life, and you still have a lifelink guy in play that they have to deal with before they can actually kill you. And then Wormcoil Engine is the same way. It's just gaining you life in chunks of 6. So they have to kill it because they can't win if you keep gaining life. So unless they have like a chain of Atarkus commands to stop you from gaining life for a couple turns, they're going to have to deal with this Wormcoil Engine before they can kill you. So let's look at the sideboard here. We've got some more hate for the red decks. We've got 3 timely reinforcements. And 2 Story Circle. Story Circle is also not terrible against Infect. A lot of the Infect decks have diversified their threats, so it's a green guy, a colorless guy, and a blue guy, so the Story Circle is not great. But if you play against the mono-green Infect deck, where they're relying a little bit more on Glistener Elf, Story Circle doesn't always hurt to bring in, especially if you have dead cards. We have Hushwing Griff for twin decks, and you can also bring this in against the like Collected Company Anafenza decks that are trying to gain infinite life with Kitchen Finks or kill you with Murderous Redcap. And that shuts them down, forces them to play as just a regular creature deck, just like you are. So that can come in. And it's also a 2/1 flash flying guy, so you can bring it in against like decks with counterspells and try and sneak a threat into play, even if you're not getting a lot of advantage from it. Even if you're just shutting down like Snapcaster Mage, it's still some value. The one thing that you do have to be aware of is that you have Kitchen Finks, so you don't want to play this when you have a Kitchen Finks in your hand if the life gain is relevant. Then we've got 2 Jotun Grunt, which just comes in for 2 things. It comes in if the opponent is using their graveyard. So if they've got like a Grixis deck with Tassiger and Gurmag Angler and Snapcaster Mage and Kolaghan's Command, then you can just bring in Jotun Grunt, clear up their graveyard a little bit, attack him for 8 damage, and then he dies, put him back in your deck with Mistveil Plains and draw him again after they've filled their graveyard up again. Or you can keep him in your graveyard and get him back with Emeria when their graveyard is filled up again. So he's just a little solid guy that I like to bring out in Modern sometimes. And I think the format right now is at a good place for cards that hate on the graveyard but also give you some other value. So like if it was a black deck, we could run something like Yixla Jailer, which wouldn't shut down Delve but would stop Snapcaster Mage, I believe. We've got 2 Elesh Norn, so this comes in against like black-white tokens. It also is really good against the Delver decks because they have like Delver of Secrets, Snapcaster Mage, Young Pyromancer, and Elesh Norn will just sweep all of those, and then you really just have to use a Celestial Flare or something to kill their Tassiger. And then we've got Eidolon of Rhetoric, which is intended for matches like Ad Nauseam, where they're just casting 2 spells that kill you or 3 spells that kill you. You can also bring it in against the Storm decks, of course. And I've found that in some matchups that are very fast, You can actually bring in the Eidolon of Rhetoric just so that you have a 1/4 blocker. And that's not its best place, but it has been okay. And it also does a lot of work if they're running like Teamer Battle Rage or Boros Charm to give their guy Double Strike, because you can play the Eidolon of Rhetoric, they can use their pump spell, but then they can't give Double Strike unless the pump spell was a Gore Clan Rampager. So that is the deck. So we're going to play a couple 2-man queues and maybe some tournament practice with the deck. Sorry for the sniffling. I still have a little bit of a cold. So the decks that I have played against with this deck, I've actually beaten ad nauseum. I have not played against Tron or Infect. I have lost to Affinity, and I have beaten Delver a couple of times. And so if we can play against one of the decks we haven't played against before, that'll be good information. If we can play against Delver, I can show you hopefully how we win that. And if we play against like a fast red burn deck, then I can bring in all the sideboard cards and you can see how that works. Hopefully somebody shows up pretty quickly. It really doesn't usually take this long for a queue to fire. I wonder if they just started like a modern daily event or something. Okay. So we're playing against French Fry Ninja. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. We will play first. This hand is too slow. This hand is also pretty slow, but at least we have a Hoofprint. I don't think I want to go to 5. We might be able to find like a Path to Exile or something off of the scry. Opponent also mulliganed to 6, so that makes me feel a little bit better about this. Oh, he went to 5. So I think I'm going to keep this. We need another white source before we can cast it, but if our opponent is on a creature deck, then having a removal spell is obviously very important. One suggestion that was made to me that I have tried out but is not currently in the deck is Wrath of God. So instead of trading 1-for-1 with creatures and then trying to stick one of the lifelink guys, you can just sweep up their threats. And I did try it for a couple games, a couple matches, but we have a lot of creatures in our deck. So Sarah Ascendant, Weathered Wayfarer, Kitchen Finks is okay, but a lot of the guys, we don't want to play a Wrath when we have a creature in play because our creatures are usually better than what our opponent is doing. So I took the Wrath out. Okay, so he can take our Hoofprints. So that's going to make our hand really, really slow. But blue-black, it looks like we're not under a lot of pressure. He could be a Delver deck, and he's just clearing a removal spell before he plays Delver, but we have one on top of our library. And worst case scenario, we can always use a Ghost Quarter to go get a second white mana. So we'll see if he plays the third color here. Okay, he does. So this could be Twin, it could be Delver, it could just be Grixis Control. Serum Visions and Inquisition of Kozilek don't really tell us much about what our opponent's doing. If they're on twin, we could actually be in trouble still, even though they mulled to 5, because they really just need a couple more lands and the twin combo to kill us. We can't do anything about it. Celestial Flare is a good removal spell against the other Grixis decks, but it doesn't really do anything against twin. Unless they play the Deceiver, Exarch, or Pextermite without the combo and just try and get some damage in. I'd like to draw planes here. Okay. The Sarah Avenger is not bad. It gives us a threat that we can play earlier. But because we're not drawing the white mana, it's going to be a little difficult. Okay, so he's also stuck on lands. Because we're not under any pressure and we don't know what his deck is, I'm not in a hurry to cash in Ghost Quarters for another planes. We'll see what he plays with this third mana. He could be playing a Tassiger here. Or it could be something just totally out of the wild, like Phyrexian Arena or something. I'm glad that Phyrexian Arena is in the new Commander deck. Hopefully that'll bring the price down a little bit. Okay, so he wants to Inquisition us again. If I were him, I think I would rather flashback Serum Visions, because he knows we have 3 mana and we're not really doing anything. So the only way I like this play is if he's going to attempt to use the twin combo and kill us, and he just wants to make sure we don't have like a Path to Exile or a Disenchant effect or something. And so he takes our Sarah Avenger. So like this is not typical for the deck. We only run 4 colorless lands, and we've drawn 3 of them in 1 colored land. So don't feel like this is something you really need to worry about a lot. It's just something that happens because we mulliganed and kept 2 Ghost Quarters. And the more Ghost Quarters we draw, the less likely I want to cash 1 in for planes. Or I guess it would be cashing 2 in for planes. Because most of our lands at this point, we only have 1 colorless land left, so almost any land we draw will cast Baneslayer Angel, and any land we draw will cast Mind's Eye eventually. Some of them come in tapped, but eventually they'll cast these 2. Okay, so we can play Weathered Wayfarer here, and if the opponent plays a land, we can go ahead and grab our probably Mistveil Plains, but maybe a Maria. Actually, I think in this case I want to get the Selesnya Sanctuary. That would be the best one. He might just kill it. That's also perfectly reasonable. Okay, so he's going to call a guns and make us discard. Yeah, Wormcoil Engine can go. This is just really awkward. See, I don't want to use the Ghost Quarter to get another mana, because then it reduces the number of white sources left in our deck, and I would like to draw just a bunch of lands to take advantage of this Mind's Eye. It's pretty useful that we got Culligan's Command out of his hand. He might have a second one, but if he doesn't, the Mind's Eye is probably going to stick, and that might actually just win us the game. Okay. Well, this is a Tassiger, and we can't really do anything about it because we haven't been able to Celestial Flare. Okay, so we can resolve one of our 5-drops here. And I think I want to resolve the Baneslayer Angel because the Mind's Eye won't do anything until we have an open mana anyway. So if we cast Mind's Eye this turn, we're just going to be casting the Baneslayer next turn. So unless we draw a land, it doesn't do anything. And if we draw a land, then we can play it anyway. And it's good to have the Baneslayer in play if he doesn't have a Terminate or a Murderous Cut or something. Okay, he does have the Murderous Cut, and he exiles everything in his yard. So this is going to be a bit of a difficult game to win. We're already down to 8 life. We have one more turn. Elspeth is not bad. He might have a counter spell, I would assume. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and concede now. Like, we're dead to Lightning Bolt, we're dead to Electrolyze. So we didn't see Delver of Secrets. We are going to bring in the Jotun Grunts. We didn't see any twin pieces, so I'm not sure I want the Hushwing Griffs. I'm going to take out one Celestial Flare because it's bad if he's twin, and it's bad against Snapcaster anyway. Then I like the rest of these cards. Mind's Eye may be a little weak if he has Kolaghan's Command, but if I have 3, I might be able to resolve a second one. Hoofprints I definitely want to keep. It's really good against these decks. I actually think we have 25 lands, so I could cut a Ghost Quarter. Is that better than anything else? Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and cut a Ghost Quarter. Sorry about the doggy. Okay, so this is a fine hand. We have a 1-drop and a 3-drop, and then we have some stuff to do later in the game. Okay, so our opponent also keeps 7, so we're going to have much more of a real game this time, instead of just both of us being screwed until one of us draws out of it. And I'm not going to skip a land drop to try and get the Wayfarer online. He showed that he was perfectly willing to use a removal spell on it last game. That may have been because I was stuck on a bunch of Ghost Quarters, but I think it's more likely he's just happy to kill it. Yeah, and like right here, he's just going to use the Lightning Bolt. Okay, Elspeth is a good draw that bridges us from 3 to 5. So if we just draw lands for several turns in a row, this hand actually curves out really well. Not quite perfectly because Mind's Eye into Wormcoil gives up a card, but it's still pretty good curve. And even if we don't draw land, a lot of our spells are castable. I don't know what the dog is doing. A lot of our spells are castable off of 3 mana. So like we could play Morphinx, our Celestial Flares, Paths, Jotun Grunts, Hoofprints of the Stag, Sarah Avengers. So a lot of our stuff comes down off of 3 lands, and eventually we'll hit a 4th. Like, we really. Okay, so he's going to take something here. I'm not actually sure what he should be most scared of here. It really depends on what he has in his hand. So yeah, he's just taking kitchen finks. He wants to keep us from curving out. Okay, so there's the fourth land too. Come and lay down. Come. And sit down. And so now that he's used the Thoughtseize, he knows we have these artifacts in our hand. So he's probably going to hold his Culligan's commands. Excuse me, if he draws any. This could be Snapcaster Serum Visions. Oh no, it looks like a Delve spell. Okay, so he's got a Tassiger. Let's play Elspeth and make a token. Ooh, Spell Snare. That gets us pretty good. We do have a couple turns before our life total is down low enough that we have to worry. Like, I can take 2 hits from this Tassiger and not feel too bad about it. If it were a Gurmag Angler, I'd be a little more concerned. But Tassiger is a whole turn slower than Gurmag to kill by itself. Okay, so he's going to Thoughtseize here. Probably take the Wormcoil Engine. Okay, he has Mind's Eye. So he may have a counter spell for Wormcoil. Let's play another Elspeth. Get Spell Snared again. Okay. So if he's using the Mana Leak, he doesn't have a Spell Snare or a Negate, is my guess, because he knows we have the Wormcoil, so the Mana Leak will be good for another turn. And we're actually not in too bad of a shape here. We have a life advantage, we have a mana advantage, and we have a Wormcoil in hand, which is going to be hard for him to deal with efficiently unless he has another Mana Leak. So I really don't want to take any more hits from this Tassiger because we're starting to be at a point where burn spells are good. I don't think you wanted to tap that way. Sorry, friend. Maybe he has another land. Yeah, he just realized he tapped his Black Source. So here's a Kitchen Finks. If he attacks with both, I will block the Snapcaster because it turns on Celestial Flare, and the 2 life from Kitchen Finks twice cancels out an attack from Tassiger, so we're back to the point where we can take another attack. I'm always happy when my opponent makes a mistake, but I don't like winning because of it when I'm recording videos just as much. Because it doesn't really showcase how the decks match up. It just says, oh, my opponent made a mistake and it helped us out. Which, that does happen in real tournaments. Like, over the course of something like a Grand Prix, your opponents are going to make some mistakes. So you can sort of account for that being a thing. But I don't like it to happen on videos as much. Okay, so I'm a little bit worried about Cryptic Command, so I think this is going to be the last turn. So 5 land versus 4 land. I'm going to block with the Kitchen Finks. I think the 2-1 is not really meaningfully different from the 1-1, even though he's at 10 life. So, okay, so let's see if he has a counter spell. He does not have a counter spell. He could still have a bounce spell to bounce the Worm Coil and try again to counter it later. But that missed Thoughtseize is going to hurt him a lot. Although I will say, if he had the Thoughtseize, he would have been at 8, and we might have been able to clock him with the persisted Kitchen Finks with the Worm Coil gone. So it's not entirely clear that that mistake was the difference between winning and losing the game for him. So this is going to be a murderous cut on the Worm Coil. No, it's going to be a Gurmag Angler. Gurmag Angler I think we can beat. Like, he can't attack with Tassiger here. We're going to go up to 17. He has the option of trading both of these for the Worm Coil. Excuse me. And then I have 3/3s, and he can have like Anger of the... Oh, sorry. Have Anger of the Gods to clean up the worms. But I think the best plan for him is to just try and race. It's interesting that he left Spell Pierce in his graveyard. So what is the winning play for him here? He can attack with his guys. I'm going to block one of them, maybe both. I'm definitely going to block the Gurmag Angler. And then if he has Cryptic to tap my team, so like let's say we take 4 from Tassiger, go to 14. Cryptic, tap the team, swing for 9, go to 5. Yeah, I don't think he had a reliably winning play there. So we saw that he's running Gurmag Angler as well, so I think I want the story circles. I'm definitely happy with Jotun Grunt. I think Weathered Wayfarer is a little weaker because he's willing to use premium removal spells on it whenever he sees it. So I'll keep 2 of them in the deck instead of bringing in like the Elesh Norns or something. But it's not central to our strategy in this matchup. This matchup is much quicker than something like Mono Blue Tron, for example, so we're not going to be relying on the Emeria as much. But I do think that Story Circle on black is fine. And Story Circle on black will also prevent damage to us from Culligan's command. So that's not a huge deal. He probably only runs 1 or 2 commands. I wouldn't expect anyone to run the full 4 if they had other options. Like, he's in blue so he can have Electrolyze. Okay, so once again, this is a good hand. If he has Inquisition, he can take one of these, but it's still fine. If he has Thoughtseize, he can take Elspeth, but we're still fine. And it's possible I wanted Weathered Wayfarer a little bit more for this game because we're on the draw. It's much stronger on the draw. But again, his deck has plenty of removal spells, so I don't want to be keeping a hand that's like 2 lands that relies on Weathered Wayfarer. So like imagine if we didn't have this Plains and this Kitchen Finks, and instead we had like a Weathered Wayfarer and a Worm Coil Engine, and he just Inquisitions and takes our Wayfarer. We could actually lose the game very poorly, just not drawing enough mana. Okay, so he takes our path and we draw another path. I'm pretty fine with that. Like, I think Jotun Grunt would be a better draw than path right there, but I'm definitely not going to complain about drawing a removal spell. We haven't seen any Delvers or Twin Pieces out of him in 2 games, so I'm pretty sure this is just the Grixis Delve deck. And it's possible he could just be running like Delvers anyway, and we just didn't see them, or maybe he boarded them out for game 2 because he thought we had reasons to answer them. But I'm just going to play under the assumption that there's no Delver secrets coming, and that there's no twin combo coming. I'd like to draw a Hoofprint of the Stag here, or a Grunt. Okay. So we drew another land, which is good, but like I really would have liked to have one of the 2-drops so I can show you how those impact the matchup. They're much less effective if you play them on turn 3 or 4. Okay, so here's another Inquisition, probably take Path again, which is a little disconcerting because that's half of our Path to Exiles are gone. Oh no, he takes Kitchen Finks. Okay. So at this point, he's a little bit worried about us pressuring him. Okay. So we have some options for this Hoofprints. We can just cast it, and we're weak to Mana Leak and Spell Pierce, but I think because we have an Elspeth to follow up, that's fine. And he may underrate the Hoofprints. Like, this is not a card that sees a lot of modern play. It doesn't really see any that I'm aware of. That's why I wanted to try it out. It's just, it looks like it could be a powerful effect. It's got some interesting things going on. And so I thought, hey, I'll pick these up for 4 cents for a playset and try them out. And just see what happens. And they've been pretty good. It's possible that you could build a deck much more focused on something like this. Just run either like blue for Thought Scour and Gataxian Probe, or black for repeated card draw like Phyrexian Arena. But the Mind's Eye has been enough, and like this really is pretty much fine as just 4/4 suspend flyer. Because it's unlike suspend, unlike an Aaron Ephemeron, this sneaks under counter magic pretty well. Like if we were on the play, like the only thing that really counters this is Spell Pierce and Spell Snare. And people will have to make the decision to do that before they know what else our deck is actually doing. Okay, so there's a Tassiger. He's left Mana Leak and Remand up, so I'm going to untap before I cast this Path to Exile. And then I think we want to cast it on his upkeep. There's not really 3 mana counter spells in Modern compared to 2 mana counter spells. He does know we have the Path and still played the Tassiger, so he might have something here, like he could have Dispel would be a good one, and I think he negated something in game 1. Okay. And it's possible he just wants the mana. If he taps down for something here, I'm going to play Mind's Eye. If he has mana up, I'm going to play Elspeth. And we actually drew a tapped land as well, so we can play Elspeth this turn, use all of our mana, and then play Mind's Eye next turn with mana up to draw a card. Okay, so there's the Spell Pierce. And like, we're just ticking away on this Hoofprints. Another card that is good in this slot, excuse me, would have been very good in this game, but is not always as good. Like if he was playing the Delver variant, it wouldn't be as good. But Luminarch Ascension is a way to make 4/4 flyers. that also kind of has the suspend thing going on. Okay, so he's got 3 blue mana. I think I'm willing to risk the Mind's Eye getting Cryptic commanded. The worst case here is that he fetches Cryptics and bounces Hoofprints and counters Mind's Eye. That would be pretty much a blowout. Mana Leak is fine. Like when as long as I can keep Hoofprints in play, I'm pretty happy to just trade 1 for 1. And that also lets me know he probably doesn't have Colligan's Command in his hand, because Destroy Mind's Eye, Make Me Discard would have been a blowout at that point. We are about halfway to Emeria. So let's go ahead and pop out Graveyard's Vampiric Link. Interesting. Vampiric Link usually is a sideboard card for Eidolon of Rhetoric. 5, 6. Because it gives the Eidolon trigger a lifelink for them, so whenever you trigger Eidolon, you just gain the life back. Whenever your opponent triggers Eidolon, you gain the life. But now we've got some pressure on the board. And he could always have something like Damnation or Consume the Meek and just sweep up our guys, but at least Kitchen Finks persists. Okay, so he's going to Vampiric Link our Elemental. That's actually fine. Like, whatever. We can just throw it in front of a Gurmag Angler or something. I wonder if he just doesn't have any extra removal spells in his sideboard, so the Vampiric Link is what he had to bring in. Let's go ahead and get aggressive here. That's fine. I'm not going to play the Wayfarer because I want him to play a 7th land before it comes into play. And I'm also a little bit worried about Anger of the Gods. We didn't see it last game, but it's a normal card for red decks to have in their sideboard in this format. And if he saw Kitchen Finks, he would definitely bring it in. Okay, so there's the story circle. I clicked through my Elspeth activation. Okay, he had a lightning bolt anyway. So we'll just make it... No. Cancel that. Make a token. Let's play Story Circle. And because our life total is 24, which is just a ridiculous amount against Burn, I'm going to go ahead and name Black. So now we really just don't care about Tassiger and Gurmag Angler as long as we can protect our Elspeth. And so he's digging, scrying, just trying to find something here. Loud doggy. Okay, so here's a Snapcaster. He's probably going to Thoughtseize us. No, he's going to Serum Visions. So I wonder if he does have an answer in his deck to our board. Like, I don't know what would be typical for a Grixis deck to have. Maybe he's actually just looking for a Cryptic Command or a Cruel Ultimatum to try and establish some advantage. Like, Cruel Ultimatum wouldn't deal with all this stuff, but it would draw him cards, clear some of our guys. Okay, there's a Baneslayer. And I think now I'm just going to make some more tokens. Actually, he held up Terminate, so I probably should have jumped the guy. Yeah, I probably should have jumped the guy to bait Terminate, so I'm just going to sit on this Baneslayer Angel and do that play next turn. And next turn, if he sits on Terminate again, I can just use Hoofprints. So like you can see how Hoofprints is just over these super long grindy games that this deck is good at setting up. Okay, so he's gonna do 2 damage to. What did he do it? I thought he got. Okay, I'm just. What is going on here? Deal 2 damage to a soldier token. Okay. So we can let him gain 4 life here to kill the Snapcaster. I don't actually care about the emblem from Elspeth in this matchup. So I'm just going to let it take a hit. He's also really low on time, too. So let's go ahead and jump this guy, try and bash in. Okay, he's got Murderous Cut. He's going to hold up Mana Leak, so I think I'm just going to use Hoofprints. Yep. So if we get Mana Leaked here, actually I don't even care about that. I'm going to use Baneslayer Angel, and then I'm going to... oh, he doesn't have Mana Leak. Okay, so he was bluffing Mana Leak, and we correctly played in against it. The reason I left up Ghost Quarter instead of Plains, even though I have Story Circle, is I'm going to Ghost Quarter my own Ghost Quarter to go and get another Plains. Yeah, Luminarch Ascension would have been great this game. Okay, so there is a Terminate as well. And is this a Tassiger? Okay. Now I'm going to do this because we have Celestial Flare in our deck and I want it to be live. Is there any benefit to Ghost Quartering now? I guess there is because it's before our draw step. That's a pretty good draw. So let's soldier up. Let's use Hoofprints. Play Sanctuary. And so this Sanctuary basically gave us all the mana we'll ever need. But because we have the Emeria, it's not like Plains are a dead draw. So let's bash with Elemental. I think because his life is back up to 17 from the Vampiric Link, it's better to just keep making soldiers. You can have a mana leak. Let's go ahead and play another Hoofprints. The Prince of Hooves. So now every other turn we're going to get a 4/4. That's going to be pretty tough to beat. I assume he's probably going to time out here, but we may just kill him. We're on a 2-turn clock now with Elspeth jumping the goat or the soldier. I'm definitely going to double block here. Because we have such a huge advantage here, I'm happy to give him some life to kill the Tasigur. And like even if he has lightning bolt for the soldier, I really just don't care. Snap bolt, sure. Okay, so he goes back up to 17. We draw a path. This is 7 lands, 7 plains. Okay, so just to me, not to Elspeth. I'm going to hang back here and then ultimate Elspeth if I can. That will make my Emeria and my plains indestructible, and that should lock up the long game. Like, I'm playing as if he still has 10 minutes on his clock. That's just, I think, the fair thing to do. Okay, he's got Young Pyromancer, so that explains why he didn't bring in Anger of the Gods. I will let you have back another mana leak. We need to remember we can't resolve any spells that cost more than a couple mana. But with 2 Hoofprints and an Elspeth, I don't think we need to. Okay, so he's going to bolt us, knock our Elspeth off of ultimate. That's fine. Okay, so he's done. Okay, so that's let's see who's in here. So this is a different guy, so let's go ahead and jump in here. This hand is fine. We can play a turn 1 Wayfarer, turn 2 use the fetch trick. Actually, turn 2 we can't use the fetch trick. because we're on the play. I almost wonder if it wouldn't be better to just have the wayfarers in the sideboard and just bring them in when you expect to be on the draw. We could play green in the deck and play Knight of the Reliquary instead, which would still let us tutor for our lands. That's a little bit weaker with the Amiria, so we'd have to put Debtor's Knell back in the deck. Okay, so this is the one matchup where I really, really would prefer to have Wrath of God to Celestial Flare. Everywhere else, I'm happy with the Celestial Flares. But right here, right here, I would really have a good use for the Wrath. If he attacks, I'm definitely going to kill this guy. And I couldn't use the Wayfarer trick because I need to cast the Celestial Flare. I'm going to mask the presence of my Ghost Quarter. And I'm going to attack here because I'm fine trading a Wayfarer for a mana source. If he had blocked, it might have been correct to not play the Finks so we could Ghost Quarter his Cavern of Souls and just cut him off of green mana. Okay, he has another one. So far he has the reasonable elves, but none of the really scary ones. Okay, so that's one of the semi-scary ones, but until he has some other stuff, it's just another mystic. Okay, so there's something that we need to be worried about. Okay. I don't think we can cut him off of mana. If we had a path, we could path the Archdruid and Ghost Quarter the Nykthos. Give him some forests, but take out the really scary stuff. But as it is, I think we're just in a lot of trouble. We're probably not going to win this game. And so he's hitting his land drops pretty well, so I'm glad I didn't try and Ghost Quarter him out. Okay, so this suggests to me that he has a collected company in his hand. I'm still going to try and take out the combo piece anyway. If this goes wrong, I'm probably just dead. Okay, so he didn't collected company, so we traded for the Heritage Druid, and we kept our Elspeth in play for one more turn. Okay, he has another Heritage Druid, but that's not terrible. And is he now going to collected company? Okay, so there's a Shaman of the Pack. Okay. So we actually have Worm Coil next turn. I'm going to hold back Kitchen Finks to try and trade with the Shaman of the Pack. And then we'll take some damage. But he can't attack with the Archdruid as long as we hold the Kitchen Finks up. Okay, he tapped for black, so I was a little bit worried about another Shaman. If he ever gets Azuri into play and we don't immediately draw a path for it, we're dead. If he has another Archdruid, we're in some trouble. And if he can assemble some more Shaman of the Packs, we're in a little bit of trouble. But as long as he's just gone Mana Dorks and lands and Visionaries, we're actually okay. Okay, so these are all coming at Elspeth. I'm just going to take out the Shaman and let Elspeth die. I can't really stop it. He's having a pretty bad draw. Like, no Collected Company, no Court of Calling that we've seen, no Azuri. None of his real enablers or finishers have come up. He's just really heavy on the Mana Dorks. Like, 3 of these effect, 2 Heritage Druid. Gonna play Worm Coil, and still I'm gonna hold back all my guys. So he has no cards in hand, and he top decked a land, so we might actually pull this off. And then game 2, we get to board an Elesh Norn, which is just the stone nuts against this guy. There's a Hoofprints, which I'm not going to cast because I want to draw with Mind's Eye this turn. So he's probably just going to chump this with the Visionary, would be my guess. Okay, he's just going to take it. So his plan here is then to draw like Collected Company and just go off. Drawing some more lands we don't really want. From this point in the game, I would like a Path to Exile to answer the Archdruid or a Azuri if he plays one. This looks like a Collected Company. So we could either be dead or this could do nothing. Oh, there's an Azuri. We're at 24 and we have 2 toughness of blockers. Let's let the Elvish trigger resolve. So we can either Ghost Quarter his Nykthos or draw a card. So let's look at the math here. Does Azuri give himself trample? Okay, he does. So we're looking at 6, 11, 16, 21. So we're actually dead here to Azuri. That's too bad. Okay, so we bring in Elesh Norn, we bring in Story Circle, we bring in Time of the Reinforcements. Hushwing Griff is not dead, but I don't think we want it. Eidolon is not dead, but I don't think we want it. And we definitely don't want Grunt. So we're going to be on the draw here. I'm going to take out the Celestial Flares. They don't really do much. I'm going to take out one Mind's Eye. Actually, I'm going to take out all the Hoofprints. This is a fast matchup, so they're not really good. Let's bring in the Eidolons. I haven't tried the Eidolons against Elves. The last time I played Elves, they were Rule of Laws. So this hand has a path. It has the Wayfarer trick. And it has a Finks. So we might be able to pull this one off. That was a good collected company for him, but I think his deck runs enough Azuris that he was likely to draw one. It actually may have taken a little bit longer than it normally does. He actually choose. Oh no, we chose to be on the play. Okay, so yeah, this I for some reason totally blanked and thought we were going to be on the draw. Against some matchups, we may actually want to choose to be on the draw because of the Wayfarers. I haven't done the retain priority thing for a while, so hopefully it's still holding control. So he's just making the mana dorks, building out his board. Okay, it is still hold control to maintain priority. So we can get any land in our deck. We have a plains, and we're going to fetch Mistveil Plains. So I think I want the Emeria. Grab our Mistveil Plains here. So there's a Ghost Quarter. So we're doing fine on lands. We don't need to draw any more lands. Let's go ahead and play our Kitchen Finks. Next turn we can play Emeria, Sarah Avenger, hold up Path, which is pretty good. But then after that we need to draw some action. Okay, so he's got Ghost Quarter, which in this matchup doesn't really matter. Like the lands package is either for long games, like really long, like you saw we didn't get Emeria active in the last match, or for Tron where we want to have all the Ghost Quarters. And then he brought in Prowess of the Fair, so he's prepared for Wrath, but we have Path this game instead. Okay. So let's do the Sarah Avenger. Let's Path the Arc Druid. And then I'm just going to bash him for 4. Like, you can see how Luminarch Ascension would have been okay this game because it would have forced him to attack into our guys. But against this deck in general, it's not very good. Okay, so he has an Azuri, but he doesn't have a ton of elves in play right now. So it's not game over like it was before. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use the Wayfarer. I should have used the Mistveil Plains to put Path in before. I'm going to grab the Sanctuary. He has mana up for Collected Company. Let's say he collected companies and hits a Mana Dork and an Archdruid. That'll give him 2, 4, 7 power. Trample gives him another 9, which is 14. Plus 2, 5 from the Archdruid. So I think I'm going to leave the Finks back. Because we're dead to Archdruid plus Shaman of the Pack. And yeah, probably he has collected company here. Okay, he does not. It's interesting. So we're gonna get to stick Wormcoil. Is this a Court of Calling? Craterhoof Behemoth? Court of Calling. Okay. Probably he gets Genesis Wave. Oh my goodness. Okay, just hits lands in a Pithing Needle. So he has all the mana he could ever want. He just put them in the graveyard. Okay. Like, again, this is what I was saying about I don't really like when my opponent makes huge mistakes, but if I'm playing for prizes, I'm going to take it. Honestly, I wouldn't have conceded that game because none of the cards that he got there actually do anything. So it's just like a couple of mana producing lands and a Pithing Needle, and I don't have an Elspeth in play. Okay, so this time we are on the draw. So I'm going to keep this Wayfarer. So he probably has a Mana Dork here. I probably should have had lunch before we started. So it's kind of funny. We don't really have like anything that we can fetch. Like Emiria, we only have 2 planes, so we're pretty far from that. I think I'm just going to fetch a basic planes. And if he attacked here, we have so many lands that I'm fine trading. Let's grab a Windswept Heath, actually. And if he plays Ghost Quarter and kills our Sanctuary, that's like mildly annoying, depending on what he does with the rest of his turn. So there's no Ghost Quarter shenanigans. He's just going to attack with these guys, probably. Maybe just attack with the Heritage Druid. Yeah, he's probably going to Collected Company. That's fine. Gonna do it during this time. So he's digging for an Archdruid to pump this guy up. And he found one. And he found an Azuri. Ah, that's bad. That's the best possible Collected Company that he could have here. Like, situationally, Reclamation Sage might be better, but most of the time that's just as good as it's going to get. Okay, so we're at the same life total as he is. So I'm going to use Kitchen Finks instead of Timely. Timely puts more toughness on the board. But it doesn't gain us any life. So we can get more value out of that later. This is looking pretty difficult. Like that second game was a game where he just kind of dirtled around, and if we had had Elish Norn, it would have crushed him. This game is not doing that. This game he has had a very good start, and we're in some serious trouble. And so he can activate Azuri with these two mana sources. Actually, probably these two. Bash in for 6. Da, 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 da. Yeah. I'm going to block here and keep my Wayfarer. So this forces him to use the Azuri. So we're taking a chunk of damage, but at least we'll gain some back off the Kitchen Finks. We really just need to draw a path here. Like we're very, very dead if we don't draw a path to exile. And now he's going to Ghost Quarter us. Yeah. Was a Shaman? Ugh. I mean, we were dead without Path anyway, so that doesn't actually change anything. And it taps his Ghost Quarter. Okay, so if we timely, no. We're just dead. Okay. So this is 2 needed. Let's hang out in here for a second and make sure none of those first 2 guys jump in. Actually, I don't have play points, so I'm just going to play a game in the tournament practice room. Got a dinosaur hunter here. Okay, so we're on the draw. Oh man, this hand is risky. We really only need 1 more land because we have so many 1 and 2 drops in this hand. Okay. Top. So if he kills our Wayfarer and we don't draw another land, we can play another Wayfarer. Let's see if he sacks down to 1 land. He does not. I could have played the basic plains and played another Weathered Wayfarer there, but I think the second one doesn't really do much when our hand is full. We can play it next turn anyway. I almost hope we're getting Colligan's commanded here. Tassiger, okay. Ooh, Gurmag Angler with no counters up. Excellent. So this is the same deck we played earlier, but that's fine. Opponent reads Hoofprints of the Stag. If our opponent just scoops the match here, I'm just going to call it a video. I don't want to be... I'm getting a little hungry, so I'm going to be done with this whenever my opponent's done with this. Is he gonna disconnect on me? Okay. And then next turn we have our choice between Elspeth or two Sarah Avengers. Main phase lightning bolt, that's fine. Serum visions, that's fine. So he has mana for one counter spell, but not two, so I'm going to play the Sarah Avengers. He also just used a lightning bolt, so that's even better for the Avengers. Got all these. The next turn we can play out everything in our hand depending on what we draw. Top again. This guy likes putting cards on the top. That's a good draw. Okay, so how do we want to do this? I think I want to jump the Sarah Avenger. And if we get counterspelled, that's okay. Remand is fine. Okay, I'm just going to attack. I'm going to hold the Weathered Wayfarer in my hand to discard to Colligan's command. Like, the only way that that's super bad is if he has Inquisition of Kozilek, and, like, who cares? Okay, so there's some more Gurmag Anglers, Snapcasters. Once again, I'm keeping an eye out specifically for Delver of Secrets and Splinter Twin combo pieces to help me know how to sideboard. There's Tassiger. Okay, so we can play Elspeth here and play around a counterspell, but I think if he had an actual counterspell, he would have used that instead of Remand. So I'm just going to go for the Worm Coil. Also, if we draw a land next turn, we can play Elspeth into Mana Leak, and we can also Hoofprints in Elspeth. This looks like a Cryptic command, which is, whatever. Cryptic bouncing Hoofprints again is bad. Look how low his life total is, though. We're 2 hits with Sarah Avenger and 1 fetch land away from killing him. Like, if he plays a fetch here and cracks it, we can jump Sarah Avenger with Elspeth and just kill him. So, like, he can't use any more fetch lands this game. So there's a Plains. So let's go ahead and play Plains Elspeth. So this way he can't Mana Leak Elspeth, and then we can play Hoofprints afterwards. Another Cryptic. Gross. Okay, I'm just gonna put the Sarah Avenger back down. If he plays another mana, I'm gonna be worried about Snapcaster on the Cryptics. That just is pretty ridiculous. Right here, we're kind of at parity. Okay, now he's ahead. So he has answered everything we've done. We just need to stall the game out until we can get Ameria online. That's pretty good. Excuse me one second, I want to blow my nose. Okay, sorry about that. So I'm going to block the Tassiger here. Uh-oh. So he's going to Vendilion click himself. Cycle a card. And then I think I'm going to trade the Sarah Avenger with the click if he lets me. And he did not want to cycle, so he probably has removal spells and we're actually dead here. Snapcaster, Bolt, Sarah Avenger. Okay, let's do this. We're too far behind to try and draw more planes. We need to get back in the game, and then we'll still be drawing planes over the course of the game anyway. And this slightly looks more like Twin, but because of the Gurmag Anglers, I think it's not. We could bring in Hushwing Griffs just to do stuff with the click and the Snapcaster. I think I like that plan, actually. Like, just Snapcaster is a little iffy on the Hushwings, but with the click as well. Just go ahead and block. And like, we're still in this game if we draw something like a Baneslayer Angel or a Wormcoil Engine, maybe. If we draw Path to Exile for the Tassiger, there's still some stuff that we can do. Like, we're still winning this game if it goes long because we have Hoofprints and Ameria. I can't hold my land to bluff because I need to draw. I need to be able to pay for mana leak if we draw something like Baneslayer. Hold on one second. Okay. So this is Snapcaster targeting Lightning Bolt, killing Kitchen Finks, and then we're dead. I believe is the play. Yeah. Okay, so let's bring in so many cards. Gonna take out the Wayfarers again. They have so much removal. It's just unreliable, and I don't want it in my deck if I'm gonna be making mulligan decisions based on it. Okay, so this hand is slow, but pretty resilient to Thoughtseize. And he mulligans. Okay. So we're going to go grab our Mistveil Plains with this Windswept Heath. But we're not in a rush. We can hold up Path. Okay, so he's going to shock. Probably going to Searing Visions. Could have a discard spell. No, he has Spell Snare, so I'm just going to go get my land tapped. Okay, so there's the Hushwing, which I think we're just going to throw in on turn 3. Like, it's incidental value in this matchup unless he turns out to actually be Twin. So I'm just going to throw it into play as a flyer and get some damage in. Ooh. So this is probably not going to be much of a game. We'll see if he draws a land right now. Okay, he draws a land right now and it fixes for red. So here's a Hushwing Griff. See if he counters it. If he counters this, we can probably resolve one of these two. And now both of us are in the same place. We just want to draw some lands. So yeah, there's the Spell Snare he had, but like I'm not going to play around it. Like, it's really important when he's stuck on lands that we try and put pressure on. Okay. Wanted a land, but Kitchen Finks is absolutely fine in this spot. See if he terminates the Griff. So there's a terminate. And that's going to let our Kitchen Finks resolve. So we're sort of both stuck on mana. Like, my deck's a little more mana hungry and I have one more land. His deck's a little bit more efficient and he has one less. So he draws the Polluted Delta. So now we need to draw one. Hoofprints is a good card, but not what we wanted. We really want to draw lands. Okay. This could be Snapcaster to block and then hold up Spell Snare so we can't cast Hoofprints. Like this island. Could be a Click to block. Okay, Colligan's command, and he's going to make us discard a card. I'll discard one of these. I'll discard this Mind's Eye. I don't think that's how this game is going to go. Like, we have the Hoofprints to combo with the Mind's Eye, but We're both just so stuck on mana that I think keeping threats is going to be how we get ahead here. So resolve Hoofprints. And like you saw again in this matchup, if they have Cryptic at the right time, it's kind of annoying for Hoofprints. That's one of the big differences between this and like running an actual suspend spell is they can mess with it a little bit more. I think I am going to try out Luminarch Ascension in this spot though. If I remember correctly, Luminarch Ascension is only like a ticket or half a ticket, so it's pretty reasonable. So there's our land. I'm just going to make an Elspeth and make a chump blocker. And we'll just pass the turn. I don't like, there's no reason to attack here. We're not bluffing anything. It's not like we're going to cast a lightning bolt with our mono white mana base. I guess we could attack into the Gurmag Angler and bluff Sunlance. That is definitely a card that our opponent would know exists and would choose to play around. Okay, so he's attacking Elspeth, and I'm happy to throw a soldier in front of him. Just do the little roadblock chump bump. Yeah, this is just totally fine. Like, this board is at perfect parity pretty much, but I've got the Hoofprints in addition, and now I've got a Baneslayer Angel. Okay, I think we win this game. Opponent probably just scoops here. Like, untaps, draws. If he has a removal spell, he'll still be in it. But if he doesn't have a removal spell, I would expect someone to scoop in this position. Okay, so he hits his land again, so he's keeping up with us pretty much, considering the different mana requirements of the two decks. Notice he can't really cast any delve spells right now. He could cast a Murderous Cup, but that's it. Okay, so he's gonna... That seems really bad. Like, why would you not bounce the Baneslayer and draw a card? Because, like, you're not going to kill Elspeth anyway. Notice that we could jump, play an Elspeth, and jump again, but our opponent is not actually dead to that. So I'm just going to bash him. Okay, so, like, how much do we think that Damnation is a thing? Opponent is dead on board next turn, so I'm just going to not let him kill us with Damnation and steal the game. Okay, so here's Snap Terminate. So probably would have been correct to just play the other Baneslayer in that case. It will continue to protect our redundant Elspeth. Go ahead and put Baneslayer Angel back on the bottom of our deck. Okay, that's a good draw. So opponent is tapped out. We could go for the value on the Hoofprints while our opponent hasn't Cryptic Commanded it. But I'm just going to continue to play defensively. Especially now that we have this Elishnorn. So my expectation is if our opponent has another Cryptic Command, they will use it to kill Elspeth. And then this Elishnorn will come down and just demolish them. So opponents thinking about the deck seems to like what we have going on. Says we could try Runed Halo. I agree. Runed Halo is a good card. They're like 5 tickets, so I'd have to really want to make sure I wanted to play this deck in like an actual tournament before I would invest in a couple Runed Halos. But yeah, it's a real card. I found that people in tournament practice are usually more willing to talk about decks that people are playing. The 2-mans, people are more serious. They just want to finish the game and get out of there. Tournament practice is a little bit more casual. People still play good decks, and they still play competitively. But they're a little bit more laid back about it. It's like there's nothing at stake, so they're not super obsessed with winning as much. Okay. So opponent plays Risefall to bounce our Baneslayer Angel and give us back Hushwing Griff because he delved away all of his cards. Okay, so what happens if we go for Elishnorn and it gets countered? We have 2 1/1s. I think we're fine. Yeah, sure. So our opponent missed his second land drop, but then he hit like 3, 4, and 5. So this is actually turning out to be a pretty real game. We're definitely ahead on like pretty much all the metrics. Like he's a little bit ahead on creatures, but we have these other permanents, and then we have more mana and more cards in hand. I guess we're the same on cards in hand, but yeah, this is a good game. So we can go ahead and do the Hoofprints play this turn, I think, and then keep up. Yeah, we can play Baneslayer and use Hoofprints. Another Grimag Angler. Opponent says we can probably crush him, and I said, yeah, it looks pretty good. So I think Baneslayer is we're definitely going to cast. I will pay for Mana Leak here. If he doesn't Mana Leak, I will use Hoofprints. And then if he has a removal spell, like a Murderous Cut or a Terminate, he can finally get in and kill our Elspeth. But we've got another Elspeth, and then we've got Mind's Eye, Hoofprints, etc., etc. Okay, so we can Snapcaster Mage and Rise Fall, get back his Snapcaster Mage, and bounce our Baneslayer. But this taps him out, so we're just going to resolve Baneslayer again. Or we could resolve Elishnorn. Okay, so he kills Elspeth, hits us for 5. There's another Hushwing Griff. So we have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total mana. So the best play is, I think, Baneslayer and Hoofprints. So the Baneslayer will block with the Gurmag Angler. It has first strike, so it's not going to trade. And then the Elemental can block Snapcaster. We'll go down to 18. Okay, so there's a Terminate. Ooh, Ashiok. Opponent has some interesting stuff going on. They have Rise Fall and Ashiok. Sarah Avenger, it's pretty good off of Ashiok. Okay, so opponent is at 9 life. So what happens if I Elishnorn attack Ashiok? Opponent kills Elishnorn, hits me for 12. I go to 1. I think I would rather just do this. This way I can trade with one of the Gurmag Anglers. Or I can just take all the damage and try and resolve Elishnorn. Okay, so he's hit some more guys off of Ashiok, as Ashiok tends to do. I think if he attacks with everything, I'm going to go for the kill. Okay, so he attacks Elspeth. No, he's attacking me. Actually, I could have traded with an Angler, because if he doesn't have an answer for Elishnorn or Elspeth, then he's dead on board. Come on, Elishnorn. You can do it. So that kills his Snapcaster. Okay, so yeah, we took the game. So we just had a bunch of powerful cards working together. Now that we know he has the Gurmags, I'm going to bring in the Story Circles. I'm going to take out the Griffs. Leave one Griffin. Just make him respect it. And just like in the first Grixis match, opponent's running a little low on time. Got a mulligan this one. This is pretty good. We're a little short on removal spells, and we probably can't play the grunt turn 2. Top. Worm Coil is not really what I was looking for. The way the games have played out against these Grixis decks, it might actually be okay to have drawn. We didn't see Ghost Quarter from our opponent in the first game, so I'm not worried about it. Creeping Tar Pit. So what I want my opponent to do here is play another cantrip, but not a delve guy. And then we can replay our planes and play the grunt. Opponent's thinking about countering, decides not to. So we're going to Ghost Quarter his Creeping Tar Pit. Okay, so he has Terminate. So I think the choice there was between Mana Leak and Terminate. So if he doesn't tap out, I'm not going to play my Story Circle. If he plays a black threat, then I might play the Story Circle. Okay, so now he only has up Spell Snare and Spell Pierce, so I think the Story Circle is fine. Excuse me. So he can Cryptic Command this Story Circle at some point to get in for some damage, but it's going to keep the pressure off from the Grimag Angler and the Tar Pit. And when we have 2 Worm Coil engines, keeping the pressure off for a little bit is fairly good. Okay. Cast our Kitchen Finks. The thing about these Grixis decks is they have counterspells and discard, but they're pretty weak to enchantments that resolve. And Planeswalker Elspeth is also pretty difficult for them to get rid of. So we have a lot of permanents that if we can resolve them, they really struggle with. Let's do this correctly. Let's play Ghost Quarter, then play Kitchen Finks. Actually, if he Mana Leaks the Finks, I think I probably just let him Mana Leak it, so maybe we should have tried to bait the Mana Leak a little bit. But I think we're okay here. It's never a good feeling for the opponent when they're lightning bolting me at 20 on turn 4. Okay, so there's an Ashiok. That could be a little bit annoying. And it hits... what is this? Elish Norn. Ooh. Well, we would like to not have our opponent get an Elish Norn into play. That's what we would call a life goal. Just gonna spew out some worms. So it looks like this Grixis matchup is actually favorable. I don't know how it goes. Like these two matches on video, and then I've played against it before, I think, and I'm looking like I'm gonna be 3-0 against it. So I don't know how it works if they're Delver, and I don't know how it works if they're Twin, but just this regular, lots of Delve spells, lots of removal, Snapcasters thing seems to be we're doing okay against. Opponent down on time, as we said. Okay, so he's going to kill. Who is this targeting? Wormcoil and Finks. Okay. So it looks like he's going to get his Elish Norn. Oh, that was a mistake. I should have kept Ghost Quarter up. And so the Elish Norn's going to come down. Going to kill my Kitchen Fangs. Going to make all my worms 1/1s. But Typhoid Rats is actually a fine card against Gurmag Angler. Going right back to the Kanza Tarkir limited tech. Okay, so there's a shot. A lightning bolt kills a Death Touch worm. Terminate kills a Death Touch worm. Okay, so our Death Touch guys are all gone, so we're actually in a little bit of trouble. So he can put the Elish Norn into play. Yeah, he's going to make sure we don't have anything to do. So because we have this Story Circle and Tar Pit is a black creature, I think we're actually still okay against this Elish Norn. So we're going to play the Plains because he knows we have it. We're going to hold the Kitchen Finks in our hand. I wonder if this deck would like something like Karn or Ugin. Just another, or maybe even the 6-mana Elspeth. 6-mana Elspeth would be really good right here. Okay, so he's going to attack. The thing about Elish Norn is it doesn't matter how big your creatures are if I prevent all the damage from them. And then I'm just going to take the 1 damage from Elish, or the 4 damage from Elish Norn. And now we're gonna do some digging. And we're gonna dig straight to another Plains. If we can hit a Myria, we can get back Jotun Grunt. Oh no. Oh no. Okay, so he does have a way to kill our enchantments, but it's probably just a one or two of, so... Once again, we'll take the damage. Hmm. That's another 1/1. So it looks like once again we're going to beat Grixis on time. Okay, that's pretty bad. So now actually we're dead. Okay, yeah, we got super flooded there. Okay, so that's how the deck works. I think I'm gonna try Luminarch Ascension. Maybe in the sideboard, maybe as a split with the Hoofprints, like 3 Hoofprints, 2 Ascension, and then just cut a Mind's Eye or something. Looks like the Grixis matchup is very winnable. The Elves matchup would be helped if we had the Wrath of Gods instead of the Celestial Flares. And it might be worth adding a second color because our mana's pretty good even with the 4 Ghost Quarters. There was that one game where we drew 3 Ghost Quarters and we're a little stuck, but hey, that happens. Okay, so thank you for watching. I'll try to have another video up later in the week.